Surrounded by leather in my brand new fancy car, rolling with the top down, smoking on a fat cigar. Cool breeze in my head, bittersweet smoke flying through the air. It's the way I feel, smoking on a fat cigar. Look at sweet mama.
Hey everybody, that was Jeff Pitchell's Fat Cigar you were listening to, and that means it's time for Not Just Blowing Smoke. Coming at you live from Twin Smoke Shop's studio headquarters in Hooksett, New Hampshire. Be sure to subscribe to us on Podbean, iHeartRadio now, iTunes, Google, wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Pastor Padron. I'm here with my fellow co-hosts, Paul, Nick, and Dave Bree from the 724 Lounge. And coming back to us again tonight, very special guest, Orlando Cabrera.
Hey guys,
Thank you so much.
thank you for having me.
I know there were some people who were thinking, he's never going to come back. You just totally lied to us, Pastor Padron.
I'm here.
He's here.
Love it.
He's doing great. And tonight's episode is Everybody Wants Some. Cigars and tobacco that everyone hunts for. And this is going to be a great show on a number of levels, people. And one of them is certainly what we're smoking tonight. And what we're smoking, what we're starting off with right now, we couldn't wait. We started before the show started, was this Opus X right here. And it is the Fuente Opus X Forbidden X13 Keeper of the Flame 2013. That has got to be the longest name of a cigar. It's got at least, it's certainly in the top 5.
It's definitely a mouthful.
It's a big mouthful. I don't even think Dave could actually put that on the little scroller at the bottom.
It would have crashed.
We just put Opus X.
You get the picture.
You get the picture. But this is a very special cigar. The Opus is one of the most sought after cigar lines in production today. The wrapper binder filler on this is undisclosed. It is a 6 1/4 by 49 ring gauge cigar. And Bree, what are we pairing with this?
So tonight we are drinking the Belvini Caribbean Cask. So this is a 14-year-old Scotch. It bears a little bit more semblance to a bourbon because it was aged in rum barrels. We have a little bit of backstory here. So the single malt whiskey has been matured in traditional oak and whiskey casks for 14 years, finished in casks that held Caribbean rum previously. The master distiller, David C. Stewart, filled American oak casks with his own blend of select West Indian rums. When he judged those casks to be ready, the rum was replaced with the 14-year-old spirit and the wood was put to work adding the final touches. And that's what led to this exceptional single malt whiskey. So this spirit is going to have some notes of cream, a little bit of toffee. It's going to be rich and sweet. Should pair very well with this cigar.
It does.
It does.
It is so far.
It does.
Oh, yes.
It does.
It's excellent.
Before we get to, the kind of a first round of what we think of how things are going here, I want to talk a little bit more about the cigar, the Forbidden X13. Did you ever wonder where the 13 came from? Why is it 13? Why is it boxes of 13? There's a little clock on here, and it has 13 on it. A clock should have 12. What's the deal?
Some clocks do.
Well,
I know. I'll let you figure it out.
you let me figure it out. Well, it turns out 13 is a very important number to the Fuente family. And, just a couple of things here. Carlos Fuente Sr.'s Favorite number? 13. He was born on the 13th. I mean, he was born on 13th Street. Excuse me. Born on 13th Street. Their U.S. headquarters is on 1310 22nd Street. When Arturo Fuente died, the founder of Fuente, he was 85 years old. If you add 8 and 5 together, you get what? 13. And the wrapper for the Forbidden X cigar was grown on a, guess what, 13-acre farm. Whether they did that on purpose or not, I don't know. But 13 is all over the place. And so they come in boxes of 13. And the 2013 cigar, the reason that number is in the date there is 2013 symbolizes the first year of the second century of them being of Fuente producing cigars. Wow. So from 1912 to 2012, that was the first 100 years of continuous operation of their factory. 2013 would be the first year in the second century, and that's why it has that name. And that's why it is called the Keeper of the Flame. It is continuing the tradition on into the second century of stuff. Did I miss anything there?
Unbelievable information. I got a couple of more, but they're more personal, so I'd rather not say.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get permission from Mr. Fuente to share, so I won't.
He's a guy that worked for him. That's his financial, his family's financials, and I asked him about it too, and he got a couple of stories. Why?
I'm sure there's more.
Yeah. So, but you're exactly right. The number 13 means a lot to the family.
Yep. It actually means a lot to my parents too. They were engaged on Friday the 13th.
Yep. Okay.
So 13 is their lucky number. They got married on August 13th. So it's very appropriate for me to be smoking this Keeper of the Flame 2013. So now that we've had a few minutes, or more than a few minutes, to smoke this cigar, I'm curious as to what people think. And Dave, I'll start with you so that you can talk and then work.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the drink is the Dwink is pairing greatly with this Opus, and getting a lot of little earth, little leather, some spice, and there's like a subtle, very subtle sweetness. But I think it's going really well.
That's good. Bree, what about yourself?
You know, I'm actually going to have to agree with Dave this time around. It's not that I don't, but
wow. All right.
I like that the cigar off the bat, you know, you get that first puff of that subtle sweetness, that creaminess. The spice is starting to come out a little bit just to kind of coat the top of your palate. But other than that, I am getting an earth that's rounded out by leather, so you don't get that intense soil flavor at all, but you get just enough of it coming through with kind of like a smoothness behind it. And then the Scotch is kind of rounding that spice out a little bit more as well.
Paul, what about you?
So when I first lit the cigar, I absolutely was falling in love with the spice that was coming out of it. It really was very full body right from the initial go. Lots of cedar notes, the wood, the earthiness, the leather. It was all coming out at me. When I started to take the first few sips of the drink, the spice was mellowed out, and the sweetness and the earth is present, very much present. So I'm getting a lot of earthy wood notes. The spice the dominant player, which was the spice, has now been in a minor role, but the retrohale, wow.
The retrohale on this is amazing.
Really amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Nick?
Kind of in a trance right now because this is
That's okay, because we're kind of pressed for time. So.
Okay. Come back to me in like half an hour. No, everything that, Paul and Bree were, and very municipal.
You smoke anything before the cigar?
A few cigars today. A couple Jack Daniel's shots as well.
Sure you did.
Almost out. But when I first lit it up, it was an absolute spice bomb. And the retrohale was incredible. As I'm smoking it down and drinking, kind of smoothing it out a little bit, you're still getting the sweet notes, earth, leather, really nice balance here. Full, medium plus full, but incredibly smooth and creamy. And like you said, Dan, the retrohale on this is spectacular.
Amazing.
It is.
It is.
I wouldn't think anything less from an Opus.
Now, Orlando, what are you picking up from the cigar here? Do you agree
Well,
with
yes.
what you're hearing?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about these cigars, especially Opus, is that seems like everybody tastes something different every time, right? But it's a cigar that has so much balance
Yeah.
that, and what I mean about that is that you taste a little bit of toffee, right? But it's like a burnt toffee, right? So it's a cigar that you can either have in the morning with a coffee, or you can have it at night with a nice brown liquor, and it would round out the cigar taste. I love it. I mean, it's the Forbidden really does taste a little bit different than a regular Opus.
It definitely does.
It's definitely have more spice, like you guys saying. And think about the fact that I aged these cigars for about 5 years in a refrigerator with bourbon. So that sweetness that you taste, it comes from that bourbon and that aging time.
So you this box has been in your
Yeah,
aging with the
with the bourbon,
for 5 years
5 years in
in the box.
the box. So that's that sweetness that comes in. I have smoked these cigars right the minute I got it from the box before in other boxes, and it does not taste. It tastes, a lot of spice, a lot of coffee, but you don't taste any sweetness until the end. But now you can taste that from the beginning.
Does anyone else get any like a dark baker's chocolate kind of a taste in this?
Some cacao.
bit, tad bit in there.
Cacao.
Yeah,
Cacao.
Cacao.
No.
Oh, that's so cute. Sean says, "What? Orlando, we appreciate you."
Oh,
We were
appreciate you
joking
too,
about
brother.
it. We
Appreciate you
knew
too.
you were going to say that, Sean. And look, you actually wrote it out. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
now he's got to go.
Yeah, now he's got to go.
Thank you. Love you. Bye-bye.
And look at that. We got Ray watching. A cigar enthusiast is watching us. That is
Ray.
fantastic. Great to see you, Ray. They were up at Twins this past weekend, and that was a really fun time. Let's see. So Orlando, can I ask you some questions
Of
here?
course.
What have you been up to since you were on the show back in the spring when all of the COVID shutdown stuff was really just kind of getting going,
Yeah.
and I don't think I've had the chance to tell you your episode was one of the most. It was the third most watched and downloaded episode that we've had.
Wow.
There were, I think we had almost 600 unique views for that.
Nice.
It was a very good show. So we're very glad you're back.
Let's double up. Let's double down.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what we could do there.
But yeah, no, like you say, it's I've been just playing golf.
Golf.
Yeah, I mean,
Does everybody retire from baseball and play golf?
well, a lot of people play what they play golf what they are playing. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So now that I retire and I have more time, especially this summer, I couldn't go see my clients or anything like that. So I was golfing a lot, especially with you guys' bosses, Mr. Sean Reiner.
Is that how he hurt his back?
No, unfortunately, it was right before he swing the golf club. Unfortunately, hopefully he's getting better.
Yeah.
He's getting back to 100%.
Yep.
But just be with my kids, with my wife, just be in the house doing things.
That's cool. It's good to have time in the house.
Yeah, I mean, your wife sees you all the time, and she's putting you to do a lot of stuff around the house. So kind of lazy with that.
I
with
can
that
contest
part,
to
but
that.
she's,
That is so true.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now, we've heard a lot in the news about how COVID has been affecting sports. I mean, right when the baseball season was starting this year, you heard whole teams basically got taken out by COVID and stuff
Yeah.
like that. How do you think this has all been affecting, sports this year? Do you feel like the teams and the associations that have been reacting well to it?
I think so. Because I think they've done a great job just bringing sport back.
Yeah.
Especially for us Americans, we love sports. We like to watch competitions, and I think they, like NBA putting everybody in the bubble. That was awesome. I watched all the playoff games. I mean, super excited. It's just like nothing happened, right? Baseball, fortunately, baseball is a little slower,
Right.
Especially nowadays where people strike out so much that the game is not as good at to watch it all the time. But they done a hell of a job putting everything together, flying people around, and I think it's been a success this season. Hopefully for next year, and with the help of the government and the people, things are get better and we can go back to normal.
I hope so too. There's one of my favorite things at Twins is football season, and watching the games there on Sundays or Monday nights and everything. There's just something about sitting, having a cigar and a drink with a bunch of people who are major Pats fans.
Yeah.
Watching football and everything. You wanna have that back. And it was just so weird not having anything to watch. It really did take so much out of television.
Man, we were watching Korean baseball, man.
Yeah.
We were getting desperate.
Like when it first started, we had customers and there was like literally nothing on, and they started watching like cornhole tournaments, and I was like,
Cornhole, yeah.
really, guys? Like that's cornhole? That's all we got?
It is.
Yeah,
Nothing on.
I was like, oh man.
That's bad. That's now there must be some parts of the world where cornhole is all the rage, kind of like curling.
America.
I'm sure Rod is very big into curling. One of our Canadian regulars.
But the customers still got into it, and they cheered when like someone got in. I was like, you don't even know these people. Like, yeah.
Hey, they professional. They professional.
Here's a super slow motion.
That's what they did. They did. You see the sock slowly fly through the air.
Oh my gosh. So now, one of the things I know you enjoy doing, I'm sure you've been doing it more lately, is playing poker.
Love poker.
You are a poker freak.
Yeah, it just come with the territory. Like I don't know if you remember in the last show that I was here, we talked about this. I was a guy that in the clubhouse my job was to get the best of everybody. So I got traded so many times, but so many times I got my team to the playoffs was because I was able to read these guys fast and accurate as I could in that particular moment. So when you go to poker and you sit down with a bunch of strangers, couple of questions, couple of things that they say, whatever, and trust me, I know I'm in a disadvantage because people know who I am. So once you know who I am, everybody wants to play against me. Because everybody wants to tell people, I beat this guy, I took his money. And so I had to get good fast. So I read dozens of books on poker, on everything, from every one of those superstars poker players. And so I judge really fast, and just love the sport, love to just beat people down, man. I just love it. That competition is something that after you retire, you kind of need that.
Right.
It was going away from me, and I have it back now. So that's why now with that, and then golf, I kind of like simultaneously take that drive and work in those two games.
Which one is more mentally challenging for you?
Well, of course, golf is the most mentally challenged sports, because in poker, it's all about your opponent, right?
Right.
Golf is always a golf course. You're not playing against a guy, you're playing against a golf course. And, if it's wet, if it's dry, if it's windy, if it's, all kinds of stuff. And you want to be good at it. You want to have a good swing, you want to be consistent. And so it takes a lot of practice just to be decent. And
are you decent?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Yeah.
What's the best hand you ever ended up with in a poker game?
All right, so
you got to have.
I'm gonna tell you a secret. It's not a secret. For many of the guys who play with me, they call me the 7-4 boy.
Okay.
7-4 is my favorite hand. Right. So 7-4 is, to me, is like having aces. So whatever I am, if I have position, if I'm first to come in the hand, whatever it is, I'm gonna play those hands like aces. It's a hand that I want the biggest pots. One of the stories in the Anchor, I was playing with all top pros and 10, 20 regular game over there, and it's people with $5,000, $10,000 in front of them, and I get 7-4 suited. And I just when raise, somebody raised me, I re-raise, and then the flop comes 7-7 king. Ooh. And he was done. I took all that money, and then so my friends start calling me 7-4 boy. 7-4 boy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, poker is more of a mind game. It's more of a mind game of what you can get over somebody. You can bluff them out of their own game. It's more of a mind game. Golf, obviously, physical. You got to practice. You got to have your swing. Again, like you said, you're playing against the course. You're playing against the weather. You're not really playing against another person.
Yeah.
Poker, on the other hand, you have to use more of your mentality than physical attributes. Of
course. I mean, but the most important thing is that it's no egos. So people that play with me think I have an ego. You know me. I have no ego. You beat me, you bluff me, hey, good hand, good bet. I'll see you next one. See you next time, right? So I move on fast, which is one of the things that I seen from top pros that they have. They just move on. They probably have a guy in the table harassing them, calling them names. And these guys, they don't even react. They just quietly just throw the hand and just wait for the opportunity to get you money.
Yeah.
Right? And so I learned that from them. And I'm more like the guy that steal pots. I don't bluff much. I just steal pots because I can read the eyes. I can read the movement. I can read what they're doing. While they think I'm not watching, I'm just looking everybody and just putting, just recording everything. And when it's time for me to have a lot of chips on the table and see nobody interested, I just take a peek at it and, steal that pot.
Nice.
I bet that translates into some great skills for parenting too.
Poker face.
I tell you, as a parent, we don't know every answer,
No.
but you have to come up with some solution sometimes. And the best parent, and this is not against anybody out there, any mother, but my wife, it is amazing how she can almost always be right with the decision that she makes.
Yeah.
She's an excellent mother.
Reading the situation.
So I
reading the
learned a
person.
lot
Yeah,
from her.
Yeah.
She has incredible instincts, and she's probably the smartest person I know.
You think that's one of the
Very
reasons
wise
you're
words.
Such a good poker player? Is your wife?
All that. Nobody put
Books
more.
only get you so
Nobody
far.
put more pressure on me to win than my wife. She gets 30%. Yeah, she gets 30%.
How
So
did she get up to 30?
hey, you have to compromise.
It's in the contract.
You have to compromise.
Trickle down effect. It all trickles down.
You ain't getting 50.
When
I'll
they-
give you 30.
Danny, when they got married, it's in the contract at the bottom.
What's
That's what
mine
he
is
had to
yours.
sign.
Oh, that's good. What do you enjoy most about being a dad?
Just it makes me sad with some of the guys I play with. They sometimes you ask them about the kids and they don't know.
Right.
I love to drive my kid to school. I love it to pick him up, to dress him up, feed him breakfast, talk to my kids when they come back from school. Hey, how was your day? Who do you meet? My older McKenna, she just had a play day with one of the kids in school, and she was just beside herself. And like you said, now with this COVID thing, it's hard to let your kids play with other kids. But I think we had a great system. We have a great system in the house, and our kids see other kids and they interact and they social. They love that, and just to see them grow and be somebody, I just nothing bring me more happiness than that.
What's the biggest challenge you have right now being a dad?
Oh, what we just said, just missing out
Yeah.
and not say the right thing for them, because one of the things as a parent is you want to tell your kids something that you don't want it to happen, but you wanted to tell them anyways, right? You don't want something to happen to them without you telling them, hey, this can happen to you, right? I think that's a mistake a lot of parents make. So a lot of communication, a lot of talking with them, explaining how things are. And of course, they're going to have their own experience and their own failures and their own success, so they can build character.
Right.
But it's just being there for them, be right when you're making that decision, when you help them make a decision. You wanted to tell them things that are going to be true,
Hopefully.
Well, we live in this
Isn't
world.
that right, Dave? Let me give you an opportunity to kind of maybe share some things about yourself that a lot of listeners, watchers out there don't know. What are 5 things about yourself?
That's a lot.
That's a lot that a lot of people don't know, or maybe we can tweak it a little bit that you wish they knew about you.
Well, I think it's they know enough.
That's a great answer.
But you know what? If you know me, I'm the simplest guy out there, and the reason is I don't think that what I did was so spectacular. to have this degree of celebrity status. So I'm a simple guy, right? I go to Shaw's, I go to Market Basket. You know, you're gonna see me in a lot of places. You're gonna see me in a little pond with my kayak just fishing. But you know, I'm just a regular guy, just like everyone else, and just trying to, you know, accumulate as many friends as I can. You know, and you know, nothing that I do, I don't think people doesn't know. I'm not crazy behind curtains like like other people. I guess it's what you see, it's what you get, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe you should tell us 5 things about Sean that most people don't know.
Yes.
Where can I start?
Spill the beans.
Oh my gosh. If we don't see him comment in a few minutes, we know he's gone.
Or he's in the parking lot.
Or he's in the parking lot on his way here.
Well, I tell you what though, and not, you know, trying to like cover his back, but like I've been, yes, I had the same job for 15, 18 years, but I had different bosses for those 18 years. And some of the bosses, I mean, you put one of those guys in front of me right now, I'll probably kill them. You know, they bad people. And one thing that I know about Sean is a fair guy. That's one of the things that I love about him. He's fair. He will give you opportunities, but he's a fair guy. And from the boss, that's what you want. A lot of bosses don't give up anything. You know, I mean, I'm not talking about. I don't really know what goes on a regular basis, but I know him.
Right.
You know, and I know he's a fair guy.
No, he's a good guy and a fair guy. You hear that, Sean? We love you too.
We appreciate you, Sean.
We appreciate
We
you,
appreciate
Sean.
you.
Big
We
thanks.
appreciate you, man.
very much.
You're the big guy. Well, the second big guy, not the big hairy guy.
Oh my god.
He's the big red guy.
I'd love to see Sean with a beard.
Thank you.
Next
Oh,
question
he
here.
usually is watching.
Do you smoke a bunch of different stuff, or do you really have your few favorites and you just stick with that?
No, I smoke a lot of stuff. Like you said, like, you know, Opus X is really could be your everyday cigar because you run out of it.
Yeah.
And every person that I know that smoke Opus and that's their favorite cigar, they hoard those cigars. But yeah, I do smoke Tabernacle, a lot of stuff from Nikki.
Yeah.
I smoke.
He makes great
Great cigars. Yeah. What other cigars I like? I like that cigar that you give me. What's his name? The little guys.
The Roma Craft?
The Roma Craft.
Roma Craft cigars, the
Neanderthal.
That one.
the Neanderthal.
Neanderthal,
Like that's that heavy-bodied one.
Heavy body, but I been aging them for quite some time now. The box still closed, so I'm gonna give him another month. I will bring some around.
Nice.
So you can tell me.
Yeah, we'll see how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aged cigars.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
can do that.
Part 3.
We can do that. Yeah,
Part
exactly.
tres.
What are some of the cigars that you hunt for, Orlando?
The Opus, to me, the most rare cigar from Opus is the 888, the Figurado. It is. I actually have a video of the guy that makes that cigar, and he sits in a corner in the factory, and he goes around when he's gonna make that cigar. He goes around all the tables, and he pick every leaf that he's gonna put in every single cigar.
Wow.
And nobody can say anything. Like, you can have your leaves count for the boxes you're gonna make, and he can take 2 or 3. You can't say anything to him. He takes it. I think his name is Rodrigo or something like that. And he goes in the corner. He makes that. He only makes. I was told he only make about 10 boxes a month of those cigars. And I know you guys get some, but hey, guys out there, those are mine. Okay, we'll be fighting in that parking lot. Woo!
I got Orlando's back on that one.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm his backup on that one.
So yeah, you guys are one of the few store around the country that gets those. And I was told that
I wouldn't know.
one of those. I remember. I think that was a couple of years ago when that shipment out of Dominican got stolen. A big container full of opus.
Oh yeah, we
That
heard
was
about
3-4
that.
years ago. Yeah, I remember that.
They say, I heard some friends in Dominican that they were after those boxes.
Wow.
And that was a whole container. Was about $4 or $5 million of cigars.
Wow.
Stolen, gone.
Yep.
You
That
know,
was out
so-
of Miami Harbor, right? Something like that. The shipping
They just came out of because so the Dominican cigars are only for to export,
Yeah.
right? So when they make the cigar in Santiago, they have to bring it to the port and they have to take them out about 200 kilometers outside in the ocean and then bring them back to selling in Dominican.
Really?
Yes. So that's how they stole that. So it's a very and it's all Dominican. It's all to me right now. Dominican tobacco that is growing in Santiago and around Santiago and Dominican Republic is probably one of the best tobacco, if not the best, arguably the best for me personally, the best tobacco out there right now.
What makes the Opus such a desirable cigar for you? There's other great Dominican cigars out there.
Yeah.
What makes Opus the thing that you really, really enjoy?
Well, once Carlito was able to grow this tobacco every year, the production was steady. He didn't have to go look for all the tobaccos everywhere, especially the wrapper, the Songro.
Right.
And the consistency in these cigars are incredible. You can give me an Opus X without the ring, and I know if it's a Opus or not, because the taste, even the smoke, smell different. I just love it. Just love that the fact that you can tell what kind of cigar it is just by the smoke.
Now, I think you've already mentioned it, but what's the best cigar you've ever had?
I have two.
Two.
That one, the 888,
Yep.
that I give you guys a bunch of them, or at least one each, not too much. But that was a 32 cigar box, and I smoked all those cigars in like 3-4 days.
Nice.
Right? Best cigar I ever had. But the second, I don't know if I told you this story, was a Padron 1926, I think it is.
Yeah.
My wife, in those days, she was first year that we were dating. She bought me that box for my birthday, and I took it to Colombia. I smoked some cigars. I'm not a Padron guy,
Right.
but about 10 years later, I went back to my old humidor in Cartagena in Colombia, and I found one of those Padrons, and I smoked that Padron that day. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was incredible. And one of the things with the Padron is that for me are too spicy. In the beginning, when they, you get about, once you age it, they mellow down.
Yep.
They are tasty. So that cigar was one of the best cigars I ever had.
Do you remember which one of the 1926 it was?
I know it was a Figurado.
Okay.
So I know it was a Figurado. I don't remember. I don't even know how my mom kept it. My mom had my humidor in her house.
Right.
And I just went down there, just checking, was thinking about taking it back here. And I saw the cigar and I was like, wow. And it was perfect.
Wow.
It wasn't hot. It wasn't. I was like, what? I was like, Mom, you've been putting water here? It's like, no. Yeah, I didn't even touch that. It was amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. It's time for Pastor Padron's Cigar Confessions. And my confession, I don't know if I've shared it on the show here before or not, but my confession is I smoke in my car. Oh yeah, I smoke in my car. Some people think that's a big no-no. I smoke in my car. And I want, I'm one of the reasons I do that is you can kind of tell looking at Pastor Padron that I like to eat. And so especially on longer trips in the car, when you're going on day trips or you're going, I've driven to Florida a number of times, you have the tendency to snack to keep yourself awake. And I got into the habit of smoking a cigar or a pipe in the car to keep me from eating. Really, it keeps me busy, keeps me awake, keeps me focused. I'm at the point now where if I'm driving, I need something to smoke. Yeah, I gotta have I love enjoying a cigar in the car.
I smoke in my car every day.
Oh
yeah. So my
best feeling in the world.
Question for this, for you guys is: do you guys smoke in your car, and why or why not?
Me first.
Ladies first.
100% yes. I mean, I agree with all the points that you made about if you're going on a long trip, it's kind of like a method of relaxation. But even on a short drive, it's kind of your only me time in the day sometimes. So you need to kind of just sit back, relax, crack a window, and smoke. It's relaxation without having to actually dedicate time to sitting down and smoking a cigar.
Right, you're already sitting there. You might as well enjoy a cigar,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So you smoke in your car every day, Orlando?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have my truck is 2013. This is the oldest car I ever had. Mm-hmm. The oldest. And my wife called our financial advisor, and he said, "Can you please say something to him about his car? He can be driving that PS around town. Like he needs to change that car." So he called me. He's like, "Hey, you're doing great. You can't afford any car you want." So obviously, that's one of the things about me. I don't care about cars. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I love about my truck is I can smoke in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you give me a brand new car, I'm not gonna smoke in it. I will smoke later, but but that car, I mean, anytime I have any 30, 40, 50 minute drive, I light up. I light up a cigar when I was coming down here.
Yeah,
nice.
Sure.
So you got it.
Nice.
You gotta smoke.
And Nick, you smoke in your car, obviously.
Yeah, I try to keep it to somewhat of a minimum because I have my wife in there all the time with the dog, and she'll definitely be like, "It smells like cigars in here. Did you smoke?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." My previous car was literally an ashtray on wheels. Yeah, like I had the mats that were like black and white, and most of the time I would just like empty out the floor mats and there'd be like a whole bunch of ash coming out. But I love driving and smoking. It's more like meditation to me. Mm-hmm. And especially now in New England where it's coming into the fall season, you have all the trees are different colors. And especially up here in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire and middle New Hampshire, you hit the back roads and the scenery is spectacular.
True.
And it's even better with a cigar. You're just cruising along. You got your cruise control at 30. You're going through the twisties. You're seeing the scenery. You got your cigar going. And for me, I get lost. Like, I get lost in the moment. And it's just, okay, I'm driving 5 minutes away from my house. Next thing I know, I'm like 2 hours away from my house. Or I'm heading down Route 101 or 121. I'm already in Auburn or somewhere, and I don't even care.
That's when the wife calls and asks us where you are.
Pretty much, yeah. Is Nick at work? Not yet. Not yet.
Paul, do you smoke in your car?
Well, considering the fact that I can't smoke on my motorcycle because I don't have a windshield, and if I did, the ashes would be right in my face the whole way. But yes, I do, and to copy off Bree, it is a sense of relaxation. I'm like most of us, we're on our feet all day long. We do get a chance to smoke at work, but it's never anything that we can really stay with for any length of time. We're always helping clients out, going back to the cigar, not really anything relaxing for us. So that's probably, except for sitting at my deck at home, that's probably the one time where I'm, probably about a half hour between work and home that I actually have to sit back, relax, unwind, take the back roads home, just unwind, clear the mind. I love it. I just have there's one thing that my girlfriend always asks is keep the windows down and make sure the car's clean. Because we're a one-car family, so she doesn't really want to be driving that car with ashes or the smell of smoke inside.
All right. Well, we're pretty much here at the end of our first segment here. Does anyone have any final thoughts on the Opus here, the Keeper of the Flame 2013?
Yum.
This has been probably one of my best Opus X experiences.
Yep.
First of all,
for sure.
Orlando, thank you very much for sharing this with us. The cigar really has it's been very consistent in the last half hour or so for me. I told you in the beginning, the cigar really had a lot of spice and leather notes. It's subsided, a lot of sweet, earthy notes, some nice wood, a little bit of spice. The retrohale, really, really super smooth and rich. I love this. I think it is one of my favorite Opus X cigars I've had.
For sure.
That's your takeaway for sure.
No, not at all. Hold on. Let me finish my scotch.
Okay.
All right.
Don't have any for the next
you get
half
nothing
of the
for the
show.
pipe. No.
I'll go across the street.
Okay.
I'll get something there.
He just couldn't help himself.
I couldn't.
Just
That
couldn't
the Belvini Caribbean cast is one of my
Cask,
favorites.
yep.
Cast,
Cask.
anyone, whatever.
Cast away.
Hey,
Cast.
Cask.
Did you read that, Paul? I'm sorry.
You're in trouble.
What?
We're all in trouble.
Paul's in trouble.
Paul's in trouble.
Nicole.
Dan.
Oh,
She knows this. Come on.
she watching.
I've never seen you not smoking. Well,
Busted.
you've obviously never seen me when I'm sleeping.
Thank God.
Yeah.
If I could,
Thank God there's no camera in there.
if I could smoke in bed, I would.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my wife would be extremely upset. But anyways, the cigar, Scotch was fantastic, but it did get better. Orlando was telling us before the show started, when you get to the band, it gets better, and it did. It smoothed right out a little bit more complexity. It got sweeter. The spice and the retrohale was right there. The earth, the leather, the sweetness came through, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And it became more of a, I'd say more of a full body once you got to the band for me.
It was very municipal.
Very, very municipal.
Bree, final thoughts.
This is another cigar. Well, not another, but pretty much it's unique in that some cigars you smoke them and this, that spice really builds up on your palate and it becomes kind of it starts to encase all of the other flavors. But with this cigar, the spice remained consistent and kind of on the back, and now it's at the point where I'm getting strong cocoa notes on the back end. I'm getting strong cocoa notes on the retrohale, and if you kind of take a moment to taste a little bit, it's very mellow, and then the spice kind of comes in and dilutes that, and I think it's turning into an even more pleasant smoke if it couldn't already be.
Yeah.
And then with the Belvini, it's kind of similar in nature. Like the Belvini, off the bat, you're like, okay, it's a single malt whiskey, cool. And as it goes on with this pairing, you kind of get a few more complexities that come out, and then together they round each other out very well.
I agree with what everybody's saying here. Orlando, you were right. This cigar gets better as it goes. And I'm also going to agree with Paul. This is probably one of my favorite Opus experiences that I've had. And being a friend of the Scott Keller.
Oh, yeah.
I've had opportunity to have many Opus experiences. He desires to be like you, having Opus, flowing out of his veins. And this is really a fantastic cigar, and it has just gotten more and more creamy and subtle and complex too, as the cigar has gone on. It's been really great. The construction on it has been great. Looking at it all around, I'm looking at Dave. He's stacking dimes on his cigar over there.
Wow.
Everybody's cigar has been
right there.
That's crazy, man. Good for you.
smoking incredibly well. Just a great cigar. And if you are able to find these, I would definitely recommend it. You might want to put them in your fridge for 5 years with a little bit of bourbon, because this is freakishly awesome.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, we're going to be smoking Esoterica Penzance, probably the Opus equivalent in the pipe world. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging in there. Now we are moving on to the other side of life, and that is pipe smoking. And if Opus X is one of the undisputed kings of the cigars that everybody hunts for, on the pipe side, Esoterica pipe tobaccos are what everybody hunts for. And at the top of that list is this Penzance. Penzance is, I think, one of the most sought after pipe tobacco blends on the earth. As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who was scrolling around some pipe places online and saw somebody who was offering Penzance at $20 an ounce.
Wow.
And he asked me if that was a fair price, and I said, well, you can get the 2-ounce tin for $16 or the 8-ounce bag for $40, which would make that $5 an ounce. So, it's up to you. How bad do you want Penzance? And the reality is, it's so rare and so hard to find that you may actually be willing to pay $20, $30, $40 an ounce to get this stuff. And indeed, that person selling it wasn't having any trouble selling this stuff. This is made by J.F. Germain and Son. It is a Balkan blend of Latakia, Turkish Orientals, and Virginias. No flavorings added to this. It's a flake. The flakes really just kind of crumble. It's more of a crumble cake. Even though it's sliced, you pick up one of the flakes and it just crumbles into pieces. It's very, very delicate stuff. And we're drinking the same Balvenie Caribbean Cask 14-year with this.
Except for Nick.
Except for Nick, who's now drinking nothing. And Paul and I knew that this was going to happen. We were joking about it before the show started. And there you go. Now, for those of you who may not have been here last week, we also smoked a Jermaine tobacco, the Balkan Sobrani. And we talked a little bit about Jermaine and the history of them. They've been around making pipe tobacco for 200 years, since 1820, over in England. And Esoterica is one of the brands they are best known for making. There's a lot of kind of mystery about the brand and how it started and where it started. And what I've been able to ascertain is that it was the brainchild of a man named Steve Richmond back in 1990. And working with Jermaine as the manufacturer of the tobaccos, got together with a select group of people to help him with tasting and approving of blends, one of whom was GLPs, and had his fingers in these blends that we are having here. GLPs is one of my, Greg Pease is one of my favorite brands, favorite blenders in the pipe tobacco business. And they picked out the blends that are currently in the Esoterica line. And that brand has changed hands from Richmond a number of times, and now it is exclusively distributed by Arango Cigar Company. And before we get into anything else, I'd like to know what your initial thoughts are on this Penzance stuff.
Wow.
Wow. Dave's initial is wow. Nick, what about yourself?
Very smooth and complex, and delicious. This is
A lot of tobacco, though.
a lot.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either. But to have this right after the Opus is spectacular. It's I'm lost for words, man. I'm lost for words. It's amazing.
It's so dynamic.
Yeah.
I taste the Virginias, then I taste, the mesquite, then then some stone fruit, and then it keeps going. It's changing very rapidly, going back and forth. The drink is enhancing it even more. It's absolutely amazing.
Paul?
So, like I mentioned to you all last week, that I've never smoked anything from Esoterica before. Well, that's right. It's not Esoterica. It's a different company. But when I first lit this up tonight, I was getting a menagerie of different flavors coming at me from all different directions.
A menagerie.
I got a lot of charred beef and leather notes, wood, cedar, fruit, deep fruit, spice, and then just wave after wave, it kept changing. It's very complex. So it was tough for me in the beginning to really figure out what I was smoking, because the flavors were constantly changing, constantly developing. And now they've settled down. It is really, really a very well rich, intoxicating tobacco. I can see why this is so sought after now.
It's actually Paul's second bowl.
Yes, it is.
Now, Orlando, you're kind of new to the whole pipe world of things, and now you're smoking what people consider the creme de la creme. What's your thoughts on it?
It's gotta go with Paul. It's complex, a lot of flavors, sweet, a lot of fruit, like he said.
Yeah.
More
It's
like
not as peaty as it smelled out
no,
of the tin, right?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yep.
There's a lot of peaty in there when you smell it, but now that you start smoking it, is like dry fruit. That's what I was coming after. Yeah, it's just a plethora of flavors that it is so subtle, which is, I think that's what makes it so good.
Bree?
So of course I do have to agree with what everybody's saying. I would call this one another Willy Wonka pairing, where One moment it's this, the next moment it's something else. Off the bat, you get the mesquite, and the tin, you get the peat. But not to reiterate all that, I think that there's certain things that are rare, and you try them, and you're like, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. I think this is one of those things where it's rare, but it actually is rare for a reason, and it's something that I don't think I've experienced yet fully with any other pipe tobacco. I think it's always impressive when you get a tobacco that can successfully combine mesquite, sweet, fruit, and then some underneath it all, and successfully tie it in a way that still keeps you guessing and gets you thinking. So it's very enjoyable so far.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot going on with this. And, I have to say it goes incredibly well with the Caribbean cask.
I bet it does.
Oh, you're just going to have to take my word, Nick.
I will.
This is a really smooth, creamy tobacco. And, there's this real sweetness in the background. I'm with Orlando. There's lots of fruity flavors, deep stewed fruit, or dried fruit kind of flavors.
Oh, yeah.
And so the Latakia in this is, you can taste that smokiness that it brings, the wood notes, the mesquite kind of flavors that it brings, but there's this real, kind of sweet creaminess that kind of puts that more in the background. And the Orientals that bring that spice, a little bit of sweet and sour that you get, those seem to be more up front to me. That the Latakia is more of a supporting player for this. And it's the opposite of the tin smell, because when the tin smell, in my never ever ending attempt to speak to the masses, I sound stupid. The tin note is very vinegary. It's got that very peaty kind of smell to it that Orlando was noting. And this is one of those tobaccos, when you light it up and when you smoke it, it's not at all what you get in the tin. And it is very complex and very smooth and very subtle. There's no real overt flavors to this. It's all very subtle. Everything's playing very well together. It's hard to pick stuff out.
That's what I was saying, is that I wasn't quite sure what I was smoking when I first had this, because there was so many different flavors, like I said, coming at you, and it would change. And then next drawer, you're bringing something else out, and the next drawer, something else comes out, and it's just constantly moving around. It's really, really fantastic.
Now, you mentioned, Bree, that here's something that's rare that in your mind kind of measures up to all the hype. And Orlando, I'd really like your take on this question too. Have you ever had an experience where you went out for, a cigar, or, the rest of you, we can talk cigars, pipe tobacco, and you get it, and it just did not measure up? Like it was more hype than anything else.
It's a lot of tobacco out there like that. And it's just, it just depends of the people that are selling it. A lot of people don't care about putting their name stuff that really don't measure up to what they say it is. But talking about that subtlety, if you're not a smoker, if you're not like, for example, I have a lot of wine, old wine. I age a lot of wine, a lot of Bordeaux, and you give that to a person that don't drink or don't know a lot about wine, they will think, oh, it doesn't taste like anything.
Right.
Because it's an aged wine, and you have to find those flavors. They there. And if you drink a lot of those wines, you will find it. You will taste a lot of stuff. You will smell a lot of things out there. It's the same thing with this tobacco. The subtlety, If it's a person that doesn't smoke, he probably would say "Oh, there's nothing. But people that smoke a lot, they understand that this is a really complex tobacco.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was talking to a customer over the weekend who, we were looking at Roma Craft cigars, and I said, "Oh, wow, don't you love the Neanderthal? That's one of my favorite things." He's like, "No, I don't. I think I don't taste anything when I smoke that cigar."
Yeah.
And I kind of blinked because, my mantra with that is it's a party in your mouth.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There's so much going on.
So much.
And I couldn't, my jaw nearly hit the floor. I didn't know how to relate to the guy.
Yeah.
Because here's a cigar that I see is incredibly flavorful and, quite frankly, very full bodied. And here's a guy saying, I smoked it and it really didn't do anything for me. It just wasn't, there wasn't anything going on.
Yeah, that
what?
And it's a lot of people that you see them with these big green cigars, huge cigars, and they get used to these huge 2-hour cigars because they just want to be just knocked down.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's not about the taste. It's not about. It's the after. The after the cigar. What happened? If I'm this, if I'm this, if I'm that, that's a good cigar, right? So the measure is not about the flavor. It's not about the enjoying the cigar. It's about other things. And I think it's a lot of cigars out there that so flavorful, and just because of the price, people don't go for it.
Paul, have you ever been disappointed by something that you've gone after, tried it, and then said,
I'm not much of a Padron smoker. I do appreciate them, but I'm not one to go after them, and partly because of the dollars you have to spend for it. And with me, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want that cigar to last at least an hour or more. And so it's not about the flavors, because Padron has some really unique, flavorful cigars, but the fact that they smoke in such a short amount of time really leaves me wanting more. So I would say, and I'll just use the example, the Padron Toro, the 1964 Toro. I had that one time, and it lasted literally a half hour. And I said, well, that's $15 or $16 I'll never see again. So I would say that's probably my biggest disappointment was smoking that.
Nick, have you ever had a disappointment like that? I imagine not. If it burns, it's good, right?
Usually, yeah. If I can light it and smoke it, I'm usually happy. Usually a happy guy. But there was one cigar that I came across that the hype on it was intense. Online, in magazines, the rep was in my ear saying how good this was. There was another person's name on it. So at that point, I kind of took it at face value and was like, oh, well, this person's name is on it as well. It was a collab. And I was like, oh, this one's got to be really, really great. And I bought it that night. I smoked it on the way home. I took the long way home. And I was really, really disappointed in the cigar. I thought it was going to give me all this flavor. It was saying online that it was supposed to be a spice bomb. It was supposed to be a full body smoke. It was supposed to be smooth, creamy, had black cherry notes, the whole 9 yards. And I got nothing from it. It fell flat. Don't get me wrong, it was a strong cigar. And like Paul, I like strong cigars. I like full body smokes. But I want some flavor behind it. I want something there that's going to catch my attention, that's going to keep me going, that's going to want me to go back to that cigar. And I paid a pretty penny for it, but it just fell flat, and I was extremely disappointed. And I'll never, ever have that cigar again. Never.
I think the biggest disappointment I had was, my nickname is Pastor Padron. I like Padrones a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Say.
And a few years ago, I had the opportunity to have a Padron Millennium. That's a cigar that they came out with in 2000 to celebrate the new year. I think they actually came out in 1999. And when I got it, it was 20 years old.
Wow.
And, you know, I knew it had been well cared for and everything. And I was so ready for that to be like one of the best cigars I ever had. And, you know, one of the things you need to understand about aging tobacco is that there is a point where it is a diminishing return.
Yeah.
You know, flavors can mature, even if they're mellowing, and get better and bring out, you know, new things, you know, but there comes a point where the oils are starting to leave and you lose so much that there isn't much there. And that was the case with this cigar. Talk about a unicorn getting a Padron Millennium 20 years after it came out. And it was a very tasteless cigar. It was the you could just tell. I mean, was there still things going on? Yeah, but all the things that you want and expect in a Padron had really just kind of past their prime and were no longer really there. And that was a real disappointment.
Happens with
I
bourbon, too.
didn't cry or anything like that.
I'm sure you did.
But
I'm sure you did.
It
You
was
whimpered.
a real disappointment. You know, and that's saying something. But you know, I find Padrones are some of those cigars that they tend to smoke great right out of the box.
Yeah.
Stuff like Opus, I hear almost universally put 2, 3, 4 years of age on them, and then they're at their peak. Padrones seem to be at their peak when you get them. They're not really meant to be aged for 2 or 3 or 4 years. There are exceptions to that. I've had some great aged Padrones as well, but that one in particular just, you know, didn't hit me where I was itching.
It's like I told you before, it's just like wine too. I mean, some of the wines that you think they tell you the age of, you know, 12, 15, 20 years, they hit the peak too fast, and when they come down, it's not a lot of good flavors out there. And some of the wines where they said that it's not going to age well. I mean, I have bottles of wine that had this Chateau Ozana, 2004, and it wasn't nothing spectacular about it.
Right.
I'm sorry, it was 2005. Was one of the best years in Bordeaux, and I had 3 bottles, and I was just, I'm gonna have one every 5 years. So 2010 I had one, 2015 I have the other one, and we just drank the last one this year, and that one was better than the other 2. It was spectacular. It was amazing, that wine. You can't find those wines anymore because the experts recommended to drink it earlier.
Right.
But you know, that goes with everything. And like you said, all these products that are made by, you know, these farmers, they still alive, even when they bottle, even when they roll, even when they put it in anything, they still alive.
Right.
So you can either age it a little bit, but you have to be almost precise by the time you're gonna smoke it or drink it.
That's right.
One of the best. Again, I've only had Padrones maybe a half a dozen times, and like I said, I told you before that
Now that's just wrong.
you and I are going to differ on this one. But because of my disappointment with the length of time that Padrones take to smoke and the cost involved, I was given a year ago from a customer a 3-year-old 4,000 Padron, and it was probably the best Padron that I have smoked thus far. Like I said, I've only had them maybe a half dozen times, but it was one of the best ones because it just really developed in flavor for me. He said he's only kept it in his humidor for 3 years, did nothing else to it, and it was probably the best Padron I've had. Like I said, I haven't had many of them, but a 4,000 that probably cost maybe what, $8.
Yeah.
Just was, to me, phenomenal.
I've heard some bar clients say the same thing about certain bourbons. Like, we have a few people that have, I forget which edition, which barrel, but have been like, yeah, I got this bottle of Pappy, tried it, and hated it. So, I mean, it just goes to show, like, branding.
Yeah. Yeah. That definitely gets involved with things. Now, we have a segment on the show called Viewer Questions, and that's where viewers get to email or chime in or write questions in the comments, whatever. And for us or our guests in Orlando, you got some that I have here on my
Questions?
notes. Yes. And Shane would like to know, you moved around so much, doing baseball and everything. What made you settle in New Hampshire?
Yeah, my wife and I, we since 2006, we have 17 different addresses. Wow. From 2007 to 2012, we have 17 addresses. Wow. But different addresses, I'm sorry. But yeah, my wife is from Dracut, Mass. And her family was there too. So we all moved to New Hampshire because we want to live free.
Good motto.
Right? But no, it's a beautiful place. I mean, I like 17 addresses. I live everywhere, everywhere. I live in a place in California where everybody's Asian. The garbage, the people that collect the garbage was Asian. The people that cut the grass was Asian. So like everybody was Asian. Beautiful town in Alameda. I mean, everywhere. It's a lot of good places, but it's hard for anybody to tell me this is not the best place to live and to raise your kids. Like living in Windham now, we have one of the best school systems. Brand new high school, brand new elementary school, and we just keep doing better and better. So great neighbors, great friends, and be close to our families. And my mom comes from Colombia maybe twice a year. Unfortunately, we haven't seen it in a while because of COVID. But yeah, it's home.
Next question. Heather wants to know, do you have a walk-in humidor in your house?
A walk-in humidor, yes. Or a walk-in wine cellar.
A walk-in wine cellar?
Wine cellar, yeah. It's to the right to the house. And I think they saying that because they can see it from the street. They can see when the lights are on, you can see all through the wine, through the cellar.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and I do have like a main cave where, you can smoke in the house, yes.
And she also wants to know, how many cigars do you have?
Right now, I have too many. But I've been.
We're very willing to help you with that.
We're here for you. We're here for you, Orlando.
I have a lot of opus, and I have. Right now, I have the most rare opus, and I've been told that it's the most expensive opus out there, which is the Purple
Rain.
Purple Rain. I have a box of that. I don't even know when we're gonna open that. It's got to be a celebration. So
The next show.
maybe not. Maybe not. But that's out there. It has so many stuff right now that I'm like type of guy that really don't need a celebration, don't need a special occasion to open stuff like that. But so any day, it's probably gonna be open.
Oh yeah.
Sean wants to know, where did you have your first opus?
My first opus was 2006. My wife, we just got married, and she bought me a cigar of the month subscription, and it was an Opus X, and every month, and those cigars. Didn't think about anything. I was a Cuba in those days. The acid.
The acid Cuba Cuba.
I that was the only cigar I can smoke in the clubhouse without people getting crazy about the smoke, because it smells so sweet. People didn't even know I was smoking. So, but then out of all the cigars, I was always smoking that one. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I used to go to all the shops. I was like, hey, you got an Opus X? The guy's like, nobody has that. Nobody has that. And I was like, why? So I didn't know anything about it. Nothing until I came here to the shop, the old shop.
Yep.
And Sean started getting them, and I started buying it by boxes. And just changed my life of the way I look cigars. Yeah.
Now, he also asked, he said, do you find you prefer Dominican tobacco over other countries?
In some cigars, you give me an Ashton, or what's the other one? Plasencia, is it? No, not
Plasencias.
I like it a little bit, but when I smoke an Opus, or I smoke some of the Arturo Fuente, I know there's a lot of Dominican tobacco in there.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to smoke something else, I regularly go to Nicaragua tobacco. So I go with Nicky, with the Tabernacle that I love. And I do like the Factory 57 from 724.
Yep.
One of the first batches that they have. I still have some of those cigars in my humidor.
You hear that, Kurt?
Yeah, he knows that. I told him that. I was like, you have to replicate this. And I know, he told me what happened, but that blend was probably one of the best blends for 724.
It's one of my favorite blends, the Factory 57.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. I find myself more into Nicaraguan tobacco myself, so that Nicaraguan jalapa
yeah.
wrapper they have on that is just amazing.
Yeah,
that's true. The 724, great cigar. Paul, do you want to talk a little bit about the news? You got some news for us tonight?
I do.
News with Paul.
So all you people who are looking to get Cuban cigars, listen up.
Ooh.
The Trump administration bans Americans from legally bringing back Cuban cigars and rum.
Yep.
From Cuba or from anywhere?
From anywhere outside the United States.
Yep.
So this is from Half Wheel, and this came out last Wednesday. The Trump administration has announced that it will no longer allow Americans to legally bring Cuban cigars and rum after traveling overseas. Previously, Americans traveling abroad have been able to legally bring back Cuban cigars and rum so long as it does not exceed the personal import restrictions, specifically no more than 100 cigars valued up to $800 total every 31 days. That included travel from any other country to America, including Cuba. The policy roots trace back to 2014 when the Obama administration announced that Americans traveling from Cuba could bring back up to $100 of Cuban cigars or rum. In 2016, the cap was lifted, and Cuba, at least when it came to Americans bringing back cigars and alcohol, was treated like any other foreign country. Importing Cuban cigars for commercial purposes has remained banned. That change is one of a number of new restrictions the Department of the Treasury Office of Foreign Asset Control has made in regards to Cuba. The goal of these changes, according to Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of the Department of Treasury, is to weaken the Cuban government, which he characterizes as an oppressive regime. This is the latest in a series of moves by the Trump administration to reverse Obama-era softening with Cuba. In 2017, the Trump administration rolled back most of the pathway for Americans to easily travel to Cuba and placed restrictions on doing business with certain entities in Cuba. So no more legally bringing back Cuban.
That's good news, man. Overrated.
Oh yeah,
Oh
it
my
is.
God.
It is. I'm more sad about Havana Club more than anything.
Yeah.
than-
Trust me. I living in Colombia, we get all the Cubans, all the Cuban tobacco. And one of my best friends, Domenico, and the La Cava del Puro in Cartagena. Sean been there and knows Domenico.
Yeah.
He brings all the Cuban cigars. Overrated. I mean, 30 years ago maybe, but Nicaraguan tobacco is getting so much better.
Yeah.
The consistency with all the factories out there trump every single cigar almost that you can get from Cuba. It's not quality control anymore.
No.
All the people that do the quality control are gone. They all open factories somewhere else. They do. I mean, you can only take it for so long. And when you live in these communist countries, it's only about production. It's not about quality. You just want to make cigars.
Yeah.
And if you have to make 50 cigars or 500 cigars a day, you don't care what cigar you put in or what tobacco you put in there. And yeah, I have some Cubas back in the 90s. That's when they were probably good. 2000, anything now, as much as publicity you see in all these magazines is all BS. All BS. So, I mean, it's a lot of tobacco. It's a lot of options out there. A lot of options out there. I know you can't get them. That's why we pay a lot of money for it. Yeah. I have paid a lot of money. I paid one time I paid $130 for Cohiba in Montreal because they said that was gonna be the best cigar, and I smoked it, half of it, throw it. Then I went back to Cartagena, and my friend Domenico gave me an entire box of Cohiba Bihike. The one same
Behikes, yeah.
Behikes, the same one. Spanish we say Bihike, but it's a Behikes. Same cigar for free. I don't think I smoke any. I give them away, all of them.
Wow.
It's just not, the quality control is not there. And he says something that he was giving it to me for free.
Yeah.
Because he knows.
You want these?
Yeah. You want this? Can you take this away from
I
me?
can't sell them. Can you just take them, please? I need shelf space.
Exactly.
I need shelf space for my Charter Oak.
Yeah. The best Cubans that I've ever had were rolled from my in-laws that are in Cuba. So before the whole COVID and everything a couple years ago, they've brought over Cubans to me that weren't Cohiba or Monte Cristo or Partagas or anything like that they've rolled themselves, that were probably the best Cubans that I've ever had. And don't get me wrong, I've had some good Cubans out there.
Yeah.
Had some good Monte number twos, some good Partagas, definitely a lot of Cohibas that I've had in my day. But the best ones that beat all those are the ones that they've personally rolled for me when they come over from Cuba, a couple years ago. Those were the best. Those were, for me, those were the best Cuban cigars that I've smoked.
All right. We're coming up on the end of the show here. What is our final thoughts on the Penzance from Esoterica? Does it live up to the hype?
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. This has been a very complex, smooth, just a plethora of different flavors that you're getting on. Yes, I'm using several hard words tonight, Dan. The flavors are just rich and complex. Lots of cedar, fruit, wood, some leather. Still getting a little bit of that charred beef, although that's been more of a background player. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful tobacco. This is going to be high on my list, big time.
It's making me hungry.
Yes.
Nick, yourself?
I'll piggyback on Paul. The complexity, the flavors, it being as smooth as it is, it's got to be at least my top 3 in there.
Really?
Yeah, it's so delicious. It's like neck and neck with Plum Pudding Reserve. It's and the Plum Pudding Reserve I think is spectacular. That's something that is out there. You can definitely get it. We have it for sale as well. But this is fantastic. The complexity, the flavor, the delivery on it, the retrohale, the taste, everything is spectacular on it.
Orlando, what are your final thoughts on this?
I like it. This is third time smoking my pipe.
Yeah, third time smoking a pipe, you're smoking Penzance.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
That's not out of his realm.
life.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really like it. Really love it. Hopefully, I can get more.
You think it went well with the Scotch?
I think it went well with the Scotch. I think it would go well with a lot of things. And have a great time. Smoke really, really nice, and like that same word I'm gonna use is the subtlety of this tobacco is amazing.
I think this Penzance would go really, really, really good with a red wine. I think it would bring out more flavor. I think the wine and the tobacco would feed off each other, and you would just get a mouthful of flavor.
I don't think I can disagree with that. And now you're making me thirsty, so now I'm hungry. Bree?
100% piggybacking off what everybody said, and I'm actually getting even more flavors as I've been puffing my bowl pretty consistently, and I almost get like an espresso on the retrohale. If I really take a moment to just think about the retrohale, I'm actually getting espresso from it now.
Wow.
So it's really a unique blend of flavors. It's almost like you have like a tray of like fruit, nuts, espresso beans, and like just all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
Dave, final words?
Wow. I've never had such dynamic tobacco. The flavors that keep changing. My bowl is gone. What a special treat that was. It was amazing.
All right. I piggyback on what everyone else has said. It really is an amazing tobacco. It is very, 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 very good. If you like Balkan style pipe tobacco blends, this is definitely worth hunting. I can't recommend it enough. Now, next week, we're going to be switching up, and we're going to be doing an episode we're calling Sucker Punch, where we're going to be looking at really strong cigars and pipe tobacco. And for that, we're going to be joined via Skype by La Flor Dominicana's Jonathan Carney. And we're going to smoke the LFD Nas.
Oh.
One of the strongest cigars that they make. And we're going to smoke that alongside Gawith Hogarth's Irish Brown X.
If we get it in time.
Well, we have some here at Hookset.
Oh, all right.
Tell
So,
Jonathan that
we're
I
all
did
set.
smoke the cigar he gave me.
Yeah?
Just say that. He say Orlando smoked that cigar that you give him in the cigar event.
Okay,
Just say that.
I'll say that.
And I like it. I liked it.
Oh, good. All right. He'll be good to know. All right. So that's what's coming on next week. Thanks for being with us this week, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next Monday, 8 o'clock, right here.
And that's not just blown.
You've been listening to Not Just Blowing Smoke, the podcast that brings the wealth of knowledge, expertise, and fun of Twins Smoke Shop, New England's premier smoke shop, right to you, wherever you are, whenever you want it. You can find us at our website, notjustblowingsmoke.com, and keep in touch with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Not Just Blowing Smoke. Thanks for listening, everybody, and that is Not Just Blowing Smoke.
Rolling with the top down.